Namaste, one and all, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Yes, it does look doom and gloom, but it is everything but so. Hopefully, the lighting is better than as seen or anticipated. So, I hope you guys stay patient with me. Back at it with the 12 game slate, Sunday slate, Quick Take Season 3, Episode 16C. Back to it. 1-0 to start out Thursday Night Football. 1-1 to finish out last night. But what a night it was. Let's go back into it. Talk about that Thursday night action. Possibly the game of the year up in Seattle between the two NFC West divisional rivals. Then we got Alabama and Oklahoma on Friday night, where Alabama came back, rode high, down 17, and now they're headed to the Rose Bowl to take on IU. So we had a phenomenal game on Friday night, and then what a game again last night. Caleb Williams said, "Hold my beer," to that Thursday night matchup at hand, and gave us a phenomenal game up there in Soldier Field. But now we're back into it. Sunday slate, 12 full games. Let's dive right into it. New York Jets at the New Orleans Saints. The 3-11 New York Jets against the 4-10 Saints. And in this one, I will rock out with the Saints. New Orleans fans, if somebody wants to invite me over, we want to go check out a Saints Raider game someday in the future, let your boy know. I will come down, I don't mind traveling. I actually do want to travel. So if we could start having, groups that we could kind of start forming, we could go check out some games. We could maybe, try to work something out safely, obviously, for everybody, but something could be had done. ATL, same thing, let me know. But going back to the matchup at hand, yes, like I mentioned, I will trust Tyler Shuck in this one. Why did I mention that? He is coming off, I want to say, back-to-back divisional wins, if not at least 2 wins of his own. Between, I do believe Rattler picked up the first couple, if not at least one. They have just been a mess since Sean Payton left. However, this is their last home game for the season, as the final 2 games are on the road for them. Weapons-wise, Chris Olave is playing. So far, you would trust him over Adonai Mitchell. And like I mentioned, last home game, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, so many of these legends who, we don't know what their future holds. So for that, amongst everything else, I will rock out with the Saints. Moving on, Bills at the Cleveland Browns. We are taking the Buffalo Bills. They just came back down 21-0 to beat the New England Patriots. I think Cleveland just lost 31-3 to Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. So it's kind of tough for me to not pick the Bills, especially because Chiefs just got eliminated. Ravens, we don't know anything about. So AFC is pretty much wide open. If this is not the Bills year, like everybody says it, what is going to be. I'm not sure on the health of the offensive tackle for the Bills. I do believe Deion Dawkins is back after just missing 1 game. Spencer Brown, I'm not sure on. Regardless, Myles Garrett, hopefully, more than likely, gets his sack. I think he needs 1 to break the record, 2 to surpass it. So I hope he gets 2.5 in this one, just so he gets that record undisputed. Shout out to Myles Garrett. Jack Conklin, I do believe, is on IR, and it's just like a misfits of O-line that Shador has to operate under. His weapons, they're there. They're weapons, but are they his weapons? Not really. And let's see, their running game kind of what that looks like against the Buffalo Bills, who has struggled against the run as well as let James cook. So that's where we are with that one. Talk about where we are with that. Where are we with the Kansas City Chiefs? Is the dynasty done? Is, Travis Kelce retiring? Patrick Mahomes, unfortunately, is out for the year. So there's a lot of, I guess bad juju, you could say, going around the Kansas City Chiefs, but also at the same time, nearly a decade of dominance. The attrition does set in. Like over the last couple of years, were they, the best team? Possibly not, but they were winning, so they already knew the formula. So they kept adding to it, and they won a lot more than they lost. Now there's gonna come a dip. Hopefully the dip is as long as Ken Dawson to Patrick Mahomes, but it's likely not going to be so. Having a quarterback like a Mahomes, him coming back from an injury like that, he is going to have that fire in him. Unfortunately, he might not have Travis Kelce going forward, as these last couple games with Gardner Minshew might be his last, which is very unfortunate. But no, not everybody gets that Ray Lewis and Peyton Manning type of farewell. And if you ask those guys, they will take Travis's ring count over the way that they got to, step off the field. Though it was pretty much perfect. And yeah, I mean, in this one, I will take the Titans. Chris Jones against, Jeffrey Simmons. Um, you still do have that Cam Ward factor, and that's the best part about this one. There is not really any weapons that Spags could focus on for the Titans, so they can kind of maybe surprise some people, and we will see what happens. Chiefs have already traveled out to Jacksonville and lost in the AFC South, so could be interesting to see if the Titans are able to pick this one up as well. And it kind of helps us out, in the draft position as well. So a 2-for-1 right there. Talk about a 2-for-1. Los Angeles Chargers at the Dallas Cowboys. Unfortunately for the Cowboys, their playoff hopes ended last night with the Eagles winning the division. But for the Los Angeles Chargers, they still have their future in their hands. Um, do I think they make the playoffs? Unfortunately, I think I do. Do I wish them to make the playoffs? Obviously, I don't. And that's not just because of the division or dislike or anything, but they are not 100%. Even if they get in, they are not, like likely to actually go all the way without their offensive tackles, with a hurt hand in Justin Herbert. Yes, it's not the throwing hand, and he has still been able to be not just functional, but, lethal. But once it gets to the playoff time, it's different. Last time he played in the playoffs, it was the choke job to Jacksonville. So it's kind of hard for me to trust the Chargers. Not two Chargers are up, but the wide receivers in this matchup, Pickens, C.D. Lamb. You have a Keenan Allen in the vet, Ladarius McConkey, as some would like to call him, Quentin Johnson, who's been stepping out, a rookie wide receiver who's been stepping up for the Chargers as well. So there's a lot of, pass catchers that you do want to look at, as well as Los Angeles. West Coast team, traveling all the way out to Tennessee, East Coast, and a 10 a.m. kickoff. Always a struggle for the West Coast team, so we will stick with that one. Vikings at the New York Giants in this matchup. I will take the Vikings. I feel like I've been overly critical of 9 so far, but so has everybody else. I don't think I've kind of held him up to standards that he should not be at being a national champion at Michigan that he is. Let's not get into Michigan. But this one, defense travels. I will trust B-Flow and that Vikings defense. Though they're not in the playoffs anymore, I think they still have a little bit more of the fire. Quarterback position, I could kind of trust Dart more as a quarterback, but the game plan and everything that KOC will come out with, I think gets the job done. Yeah, tough matchup to call this one, but I think with a Jordan Mason, not even sure on their running game anymore because the injuries that they had suffered earlier in the season. But Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason should be back as a duo, and hopefully with a strong running game through them, 9 gets on top, get some good vibes going into the off season. So hopefully he lasts more than not just next season. Moving on, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Carolina Panthers. Both teams 7-7. This arguably is the matchup for the NFC South title. And in this one, where does the title go? I do believe until somebody to be the man, you got to beat the man, and to be the man here, you got to beat the man. Bryce has to beat Baker. It's as simple as that. Since Tom Brady retired, it's arguably been Baker's and the Bucks division, like continuing the tradition. So yeah, Panthers. They are, Dave Canales comes from Tampa Bay. All of that does play a factor. Carolina being at home, do I see them winning this one? I can see them winning this one, but the experience that uh, the Tampa Bay squad has from the Super Bowl run, because most of those guys are still there, from Vita Vea defensively, Levante David, and Antoine Winfield, who I've mentioned multiple times for these Bucks defense, but that Bucks defense has struggled. JPJ coming back to the practice squad just highlights how much of a pass rush struggle they have had. Matthew Judon, he was in the state. He ended up going to the Buffalo Bills. Could have probably should have at least approached him since he was already in the state. Yeah, uh, it's going to be a tough one, but I think from quarterback standpoint, from weapon standpoint, I think you trust Baker and the Bucks a little bit more, if not a lot more. Young guys on one side. This is, still the second year that the offensive line is kind of coming along. They have for the Carolina Panthers. They have phenomenal tackles. They added, Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt, phenomenal guards who have, stepped their labels up. I think Cade Mays or Austin Corbett is the center. Veteran there, played with the Rams, been with Carolina for a few years. So they have a good offensive line. Can they hold on to the trenches? Can they dominate the trenches? I think that's what it might get down to. It's a close matchup like this on the road. This is what, like this is a preview for the playoffs. The secondary for the Bucks still scares me, but gotta pick one. So we will rock out with the experience factor and Tampa Bay. Moving on, the Bengals at the Dolphins. Talk about the experience factor. Tua just got benched. Quinn Ewers is the new starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, and not just the fact that Tua is benched. Tua is the emergency third string quarterback getting paid $53 million. So that just kind of, with the fired GM already in the season and all that. However, I did not anticipate the Dolphins record to be at 6-8. Better than I had anticipated. But why does that suck even more? Because you're not going to have a top five pick likely, which makes it frustrating. What is your quarterback answer? Because it does not seem to be like Tua. Are you going into the draft now? Or are you going to be jumpy to try to come up and get a Fernando Mendoza or a Dante Moore? Um, all of that is going to play a factor, but all that is also going to be a distraction. Some guys are already going to be checked out, especially the veterans, because they're like, hey, it's a rookie. Whoop, our season's already over. It's going to be hard to say that same thing for the Bengals. Unfortunately, yes, they are out as well, and they have a worse record at 4-10. But Joe Burrow, he is going to come out. He said he is still trying to win. He is going to come out to win. That's their main focus, whatever the focus of the Miami Dolphins is, as well as there are a lot of distractions down there, so I can't really blame the players. But unless they are, I mean, extremely HN and Ollie Gordon heavy in this matchup, even at home. I think the passing attack of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, I do believe with a concussion, T. Higgins, after a concussion, T. Higgins is back. So yeah, like there are very few quarterbacks you want to pick than against Joe Burrow. It's as simple as that. Jaguars at the Denver Broncos. In this matchup, you could say it's a matchup with the offensive callers in Sean Payton and Liam Cohen, old school, new school, 2000s, 2010s versus the 2020s or 90s and 2000s versus 2010s and 2020s. Could be an argument to be had there. You could look at the quarterbacks, Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence. Inverse path, you could say, in terms of college career. What a college career Trevor Lawrence had from a national championship standpoint. Everything that he did at Clemson, coming into the draft, being a labeled generational talent. On the other side for Bo Nix, moving from Auburn to Oregon, and then finding a spot there. Was not the top overall pick. Got traded off for, but still got there. Came into the stability of Sean Payton rather than the dysfunctionality of Urban Meyer. So inverse of each other, but now they are here 10-4 against 12-2. We are taking on the Jaguars in this one. Why do I say that? Defense travels. Jaguars have a decent defense as well. Offense, why do I trust their offense more? Jacoby Myers factor. He was in the division for a few years. He understands the defense. He understands the defensive leverages. what they like to call some tendencies possibly, and could break that down, help out a relatively young offense for his group as well, because Brian Thomas Jr. relatively young. Travis Etienne, he's having his resurgence. Based out Tootin, they've been running the rock with both of those guys. The offensive line for the Jaguars are underrated to say the least. The defensive line, you could argue, is actually the more underrated aspect, if not the front seven as a whole. You have a Josh Allen Josh Allen Hines. You do have, Lewican at um, middle linebacker with Devin Lloyd, who had picks for, I mean, early in the season, he almost had a pick for per game. So keep an eye out for him to have a pick in this one, especially with Cortland Sutton still being the only reliable weapon, especially when it gets to the playoffs. Mims, Franklin, phenomenal guys, could beat the top off a lot of different teams. But in the playoffs, once the defense are, a lot more focused just on you, it's going to be tough to kind of get away from not having those type of weapons of that caliber. Even Evan Ingram, you're gonna try to force feed him a little bit more just to open everything up, possibly in that sense. Maybe Devin Lloyd picks it up. And then on the back end, you traded away one of your corners to go get Newsome out of Tyson Campbell, if I'm not mistaken, to go get a Greg Newsome. So that could play a factor against their wide receiver, who are also lean as well. So we can see how that comes about. The running game, it's going to be a factor as well. Like I mentioned, the resurgence of ETN and, the trust that Tootin has already received. I had that trust with J.K. Dobbins. He broke the 37-game, 100-yard streak for the Broncos. I do believe it was against us, too. Shout out to us. But yeah, you know, Jags are not the same old Jags. They just came out of a win that, a lot of teams kind of were surprised by. Good vibes all around. I am going to anticipate, especially with Jacoby Myers just getting paid as well. Shout out to the boy. Well deserved. I was hoping and wishing they paid you. If not somebody else, maybe you come back to it. But that's just, wishful thinking. But I am so happy that your family's taken care of and that you are going to be, having that stability in your life. Shout out to the boy Jacoby. And yeah, that's where we are with it. You could call it a divisional dislike, but I just trust the Jacksonville Jaguars a little bit more, especially with the amount of punts that I have seen the Denver Broncos offense punt this year. Atlanta, I already told you guys, let me know. But this time it is the Falcons at Cardinals. And we'll take the Falcons in this one. Why do I say that? Cardinals, they give you a good fight. I think these are actually very, very, very similar teams from the quarterback standpoint. You have a Kyler Murray, you're going to Jacoby Brissett, you have a Michael Penix, he got hurt. But now you're going to a Kirk Cousins. Weapons wise, you have a Drake London, you have a great tight end, you have a Marvin Harrison, you have a Trey McBride, and then everything else opens up from there. And that's where we are with it. I would probably trust the secondary and the defense of the Atlanta Falcons more, so that's why I'm leaning with them. I will trust that the first string running back and Bijan Robinson actually, does better than the third string, if not second string, running back of the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, even if it's home field, we saw earlier in the season the way that they lost to, I do believe it was maybe Seattle, a divisional loss on prime time. That has kind of summed it up for them. Um, Not sure if their tackles are back yet. Yeah, this season's kind of gone to the wayside as well. Sorry, Cardinals fans. Let's keep it going. ATL. Moving on. It is the Steelers taking on the Lions. Both teams at 8 and 6. This one, it's in Detroit. So we will rock with the home field. We will rock with the home team. And we will rock with the Detroit Lions. Playoff push is still, a push to be had. Packers losing yesterday opens the door up. Does it open the door up for the division? Possibly, if the Bears slip up the final 2 weeks. So you got to stay afloat. Goff indoors. I will always endorse him in that situation. And in this one, Aaron Rodgers still hurt. That defense does not have TJ Watt. TJ Watt is, I'm not gonna say similar, but the records, could kind of indicate the similarity in terms of the effect that they have in the trenches between Lane Johnson and TJ Watt, and the records without them for their squads. Sonic and Knuckles, the running game. It's going to be tough for the Steelers defense to stop. and then you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have a J-Mo, uh, whatever you want to talk about Morty earlier in the season. Once MCDC took over play calling, they have not looked back. One of the biggest Achilles heels for the Pittsburgh Steelers has been wide receivers who are really good after the catch. Um, y'all hear that? Prayers out to them. But yeah, I do believe, with the speed that Detroit possesses, I think they just have to play bend but not break defense, which I do believe with the pass rushers of a Hutch and Muhammad on the other side, they can do that. And, if they can make them one dimensional, I think if Steelers are to make any noise in the playoffs and kind of dispute the fact of their, I mean, last 20 years in this, or at least last 15 years, and, not want the Steelers fans to call for Mike Tomlin's head, I think this one, Lions got to take it. And to a degree, if you look back at it, MCDC has and the Lions have been a kryptonite for Aaron Rodgers as they handed him his last loss in Lambeau as he was walking off the field and kicked him out of the playoffs. So for their own playoff sakes, to possibly hurt the chances of the Steelers playoffs, all of that going in, a little bit of that Packers Lions rivalry, and we keep it moving. Lions won that one, just in case y'all forgot. Raiders at Texans. Do we want to talk about this? You already see the white, right? So I'm already waving the white flag in this one. That pass rush. We have the only tackle duo who has left. Let up 10 sacks on each side. Uh, I could make up excuses for my Raiders all day long, but we're not going to do so. We're going to talk about that Houston sack station. That defense is going to be absolutely phenomenal. I just hope we don't get shut out. It's literally as simple as that. If we can put up, I hope we don't get shut out from a touchdown. I need a touchdown, goddammit. I've been patient. We just got shut out completely. 3 points is not going to be good enough. I need a 7. I need to see a touchdown. Let me celebrate something. Just a little bit of dopamine. Real Madrid won yesterday. Chelsea came back and tied it up yesterday. Showed their grit. Warriors held it down at the end and did their thing at the end. Now I need the Raiders. I do not anticipate you guys to win. Just make me like not be embarrassed to be a fan. That's all I ask for. And now we'll keep it moving. Nico Collins, hopefully he does not go crazy against Porter or Stokes. That wide receiver crew is going to be tough. But outside of that, I think we will. I don't know what we'll do. Just don't get shut out. That's my only hope. Last but not least, Patriots at Ravens to kick finish us off for the night, Sunday night, to kick us off for Sunday Night Football. That's where I was headed to. And we are taking the Patriots 6-0. They are away with their defense and that offense. Ravens are 3-5 at home. It's not the same old Baltimore Ravens. Just like the Steelers, this is not the same Ravens. I am trusting the Patriots offensive line, even with the rookie left tackle, even with the rookie left guard, um, even with backups there. I do believe right now the better coach team is the Patriots. Right now, the better performing team is the Patriots. So right now, the team we are going to pick is the Patriots. It's really as simple as that. Do I pick Drake May over Lamar Jackson? I do not. Respectfully, he is having a phenomenal season, all of that. But Lamar Jackson is still the 2-time MVP and all of that. If that Lamar Jackson finally comes back and stands up, I will be eating my crow, especially with it being Baltimore. Y'all see what I did there. But in this one, unless Derrick Henry's about to, go crazy against Mike Vrabel for whatever reservations he might have that we don't know about, or anything else, like a non-factor in a sense of, or external factor in a sense of the fans being just crazy today, like to the next level. Um, the weather playing a factor, special teams playing a factor, and just it just becomes a special night in Baltimore where they fight for their win. They win this one, kind of. If the Steelers lost, like I mentioned, they kind of hold their own to go into the final weeks, especially week 18 against those Steelers again, to figure out who takes the divisional crown. Um, and yeah, like I mentioned, um, doesn't matter who's there for the Patriots offensive line. Everybody is showed out. Shout out to Doug Marrone. Defensively, they're playing for their defensive coordinator who got diagnosed with testicular cancer, I want to say, within the first 4 weeks. So they have a lot that they're playing with. Unfortunately, I don't know the injuries in this one, so it's going to be tough. Ravens defense, they played very well last game. We all know the Kyle Van Noy play where he handed it off to his teammate where he could go score that touchdown. Plays like that, they are going to need a lot of those to, keep it pushing. But yeah, that's where we are with it. An external factor will have to win this one out because I do believe Vrabel's going to come out to win this, get that top seed as well. And we're going to have to see what it comes down to. You already know. I will be back tomorrow. Till then, go like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go catch up on Jump Ball, go catch up on Football Frenzy, and go catch up on all the quick takes because you already know. Till tomorrow, I will be back.